This is MAP4C Day 22B, the second part of the first lesson in Unit 3, Chapter 3, which is on two-variable statistics. The lesson is 3.1, one and two variable data, and we just barely touched on it in the first half of today's class, and this is going to be a short one as well. Today's goal is to distinguish between situations that can be represented by one or two variable statistics. And so here we go. Typical graph. What type of graph is it? It's a bar graph, right? Where we've got a bunch of categories on the bottom, and then each bar represents how many people or things there are in each of these categories. What quantity or quantities are being represented graphically? Well, this is probably what we're interested in comparing our business, arts and sciences college major. There you go. So it's the number of people that are in each college program. College program. And then the y-axis is just a count of the number of people in each of those things. So this is only one quantity. The second one, what type of graph is this? Well, this is a broken line graph or a line graph, and we've seen those for many, many years. What quantity or quantities are being represented graphically? Well, along the x-axis, we've got the year, right? And then on the y-axis, what is it? It's maybe hard for you to read, but it says sales in millions of automobiles. So this is basically number of cars sold in millions. Oops, not dollars. In millions of cars, right? And so this graph represents a relationship between two variables. One variable is year, one variable is the number of cars sold. And we can see the first one, it was only one variable that we are interested in, is what college program you're in. This is today's stuff. All right, on to the note, the lesson, which essentially the 3-minute review had it. Distinguish between situations that can be represented by one or two variable statistics. This idea of a variable is an attribute or quantity that we are interested in measuring. So the first one was people that we asked, but what we were asking them about perhaps was, what college program are you going into? Are you going into education or arts and sciences or business? So the variable, what we were interested in measuring, was what program they were into. And the second one, the two variables that were related were the year and the millions of cars that were sold. So in one variable stats, what are the types of things that we do with one variable stats? Well, this was last year, and we did, the mean, median, and mode. We did standard deviation and all those things. But the graphs that we did were things like a circle graph and a bar graph, and kind of more mathy was the histogram, right? And all of those only showed one variable that we were interested in. That's it. Where two variable stats, which is what we're up against in this unit, we're interested in not calculating the mean, median, mode. We're interested in calculating the relationship, or whether there's a relationship between two variables. And when there's a relationship between two variables, there's a special word, nice fancy math word called correlation. Correlation. And you can kind of see the word correlation as correlation. Like co meaning, a co-op, a partnership between student and business. And relation means a relationship between two variables. So correlation. Also in here, and this will be, we'll get into this almost straight away, is the line of best fit. So, we've done line of best fit. Yes, you have, way back in grade 9, and we're going to do a grade 12 job of it this unit. The graphs, well, what graphs go with the line of best fit is a scatter plot. So we're going to be doing lots of scatter plots. All right, well, let's go on to the example. Oh, did you get that? You want to pause that? Okay, on we move. Is this one or two variable data? It looks like since there's two columns, it should be two variables, but really, this column is just a count, the number of people that had this as their variable. So this is the only variable here. It's 1. That's it. Because this is just a number, this is just a count. And so I'm going to say, just so you get this into your notes, the second column is just a count. And so it doesn't count as a second variable. Everyone just told us how much they spent on their lunch. That was the only thing we were interested in. How would you graph this data? Probably a histogram, right? You'd call it maybe a bar graph, but it would really be a histogram, something like this. And it doesn't have to be, I'm just going to do a really rough copy with no graph paper, but on the x-axis would be the variable. This is lunch money, and we'd have 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. And up here would be the count, right? This is the number of people, where we'd have to go up to 8. Maybe we'd go up by 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, right? And then how many people spent between $0 and $2? Well, there were 6. And we'd have this, and then the next one, is here, and so on. And this is a histogram. The only variable that we have is the amount spent. One variable, isn't it? Histogram, one variable. What do we ask for in number 2? Think of money spent as one variable. Think of a situation that would give a second variable to measure. Well, so if one of the variables is money spent on lunch, then what might be a second one? Well, that we might be interested in measuring. Maybe we'd think that if you make more money on your job, you spend more money on lunch, right? So maybe the second variable, where the first variable is money spent on lunch, the second variable might be something like the money earned at your part-time job. And then we'd be interested in, putting, surveying people and say, how much money did you spend on lunch this week, and how much money do you spend on your part-time job? And we might be tempted to think that, the people that make more money on their job earn more money on, or spend more money on lunch. Or, this could be the other way. Maybe lunch is along here and the money on the job is over here. But we could ask people those two things and look for a relationship between the two variables. This is a two-variable relationship, and that's really what we're after in this unit. Notice that there's some reading for you to do. That's got some more examples. Please do the reading before you start the homework. And it looks like a whole bunch, but you should be able to zoom through it pretty quick, just like you zoom through this lesson. All right.